All right. Here we are, another Thursday night. Let's see what's going on. I know Harold's not going to be joining us tonight, and we're sending prayers to your little head cold that you got, brother. Hope it dissipates. So summer head colds could be a doozy. All right. Let's get right into it. I am live, I'm pretty sure. Here we go. Oh, Terry, I am Intercontinental. What's up, Terry? Terry, we missed you last night. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you. Wow. What time is it over there in Rome? What are you guys, 12 hours ahead? No, you guys are like 8 hours ahead, 8 or 9 hours, I believe it is. So it's in the wee hours of the morning, Terry. That's some dedication for Angie's Angles. We appreciate you. All right. Here, it's 2:30 in the morning. Holy Hannah. Right, 7 hours. Oh my gosh. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Angie's Angles, live from Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. We got a lot to cover tonight, including a new Angie's Angles format twice a month, hopefully, and God willing. I appreciate that, Terry. I love being intercontinental. So I'm a little shocked that I'm able to be here for this podcast tonight with how the Mets blew that game in Los Angeles today. I mean, Carlos Mendoza. Who is Carlos Mendoza? I'm telling you, once we land in Colorado, mandatory practice for all the infielders. We're going to play in, and we're going to practice throws to home plate. I mean, my good friend Pete in the lounge said, take it easy on Beatty tonight, because he's really saved us a couple of games, both offensively and defensively. And I'm not going to argue that point, Pete. But the point is, you can't double clutch. The first thing you teach these kids in Little League is throw to the advancing base ASAP. The worst that could happen is the guy goes back to the previous base. That's baseball 101. I mean, come on. Anytime we practice the pickle play with my kids, throw it to the advancing base. And then that field is responsible for running them back to the previous base and trying to make the out. Stop with the freaking head fakes and the bob and the weaves. It ain't basketball. It's baseball, for God's sakes. Eric, I don't disagree that Bauer would be a welcome addition, but we got no room at the end. If you know what I mean. So, I'm going to give you guys some insight. A couple of weeks ago, exactly 13 games ago, we don't count today, so 12 games ago, the New York Metropolitans dialed into Angie's Angles and finally conceded that Juan Soto and Pete Alonso were your not number 2 and 3 hitters, respectfully. They were your 3 and 4 hitters, respectfully. Pete Alonso should never bat third base ever again in the history of his lifetime. And Juan Soto is not a number 2 guy. 0 chance, no dice, adios. So I'm going to let you in on what Pete's stats are since going to the cleanup spot in 12 games. It's a 12-game sample. Batting .280. 13 hits, 46 at-bats, 6 runs scored, 4 home runs, and 16 RBIs. And Pete finally, mentally, accepts the cleanup role 100%. As we stated, that Pete is no longer pressing, no longer feels the burden and responsibility of being the guy. He's got 8 other guys that could be the guy in that team, and they've all chipped in here and there, offensively and or defensively. Now, I understand you had to play McNeil at second base today with the Lindor broken toe injury, and you know, hit them up with some Novocaine, wrap up the toe, whether it's the big, the point in the middle, the index, or the pinky toe, and run him out there. He even said he could play. Sometimes you got to suck it up. And you can't sit against the Dodgers. But I guess some of the insight was, well, we're going to Colorado. And I'd rather have Lindor a little healthy in Colorado than in Los Angeles. And if you told me we're rolling into Los Angeles with the potential, and it was there for us to sweep them, but to walk away with 2 out of 4, in the immortal words, somewhat twisted of Meatloaf, 2 out of 4 ain't bad in L.A. What are they, the second or third best team in baseball? So coming away with a 2-4 road trip so far, we must. There is no doubt in my mind. It's a must sweep series in Colorado. Colorado's a little bit on their high horses, sweeping their last series. They're kind of on a winning streak. The law of averages always tends to work out, but there is no excuses for us to walk into Coors Field and not sweep the low-life Colorado Rockies. Now, I'm not putting the Rockies down. They're a Major League Baseball team, and that's why I say I keep the mantra is any given team on any given day could beat any team. So that's a fact. But we got to pick ourselves up off our laurels. We got to go into Colorado hungry, thirsty, and whatever, and we need to sweep them like we swept them earlier. So that's a must, number one. So if we go in and sweep her, and I know I'm putting the carrot before the cart, I understand that. But if we go and sweep them, we're walking away with a 5-2, a semi West Coast Middle State road trip. Not too shabby. And again, as the great Kevin Analytics states, you only have to win 6 out of your 10 games. And that's not hard to do. We took 2 out of 4. If we take 2 out of 3, we're doing okay. We're doing just fine. So with that said, I'll take Pete's advice and give Beatty a very, very soft pass. That was just silliness. You just gotta throw to the advancing base. Kids, if you're listening, grown-ups, if you have young kids, if you got grandsons, daughters, nieces, nephews that play the game of baseball and or softball, preach and teach. You get rid of the ball immediately. You throw to the advancing base and let that fielder run the guy back to the preceding base. It's basic 101 baseball. Enough said. We had our guy up with the bases loaded and 1 out, and Pete struck out on a pretty good curveball that he was just under it. Couple of notes that I've taken away. Alvarez and Acuna need to go into the cage. I don't know if they could put a heavy helmet on them, but they can't pull off the ball with their head. Both of them are pulling their heads off the ball and thus missing the ball by miles because their eyes are not following the path of the ball. So with that said, I would, if I'm our hitting coach, that's the first thing I do. Run drills where they stay on the ball. Now, Acuna seems to be a little ball shy. If the ball is on the inside corner, he's jackknifing out of the way. I don't wear a hip guard. I don't care what you gotta do, Acuna. Maybe you got batting practice guys throwing at him in full freaking gear. I don't care. But he's bailing. He's bailing way too much. Hence the flails to right field. And if he does have a power swing, he and Alvarez, they're just pulling their heads off the ball. Their heads are going like this. And you're not able to hit a ball that you cannot see. Sure, blind squirrel finds his nuts once in a while, and you might get lucky. But you must keep eye contact on the bat and the ball. You got to follow the bat to the ball. Again, basic baseball 101. So I don't know what I need to do about that. You know, it was kind of joked about and bandied about out there in the lounge that the Mets need to employ me even as a consultant, perhaps. But more importantly, better than me, Kevin Hollywood, Kevin Analytics. This guy's been on point. He's called a lot of things, a lot of things. And he's quite impressive with his baseball knowledge. So, Kev, shout out, kudos to you, my friend. Good job. So we covered the Pete Alonso 12 games. Soto, his numbers, at least average-wise, are not that impressive. However, his on-base percentage, his runs scored, and his home run and run production, RBIs, are on the uptick in the third position. They should not play with that lineup anymore. Lindor's your number one guy. I'll live with Nimmo number 2, Soto's 3, Alonso's 4, Beatty's 5, and we go from there. I mean, we jump out to this big lead. Eric, what's going on, my friend? How are the Cubbies doing, my friend? Shout out to your kids' Little League team. So we need to readjust. We need to refocus. We need to get Alvarez and Acuna to keep their head still, to keep it in the box, to follow the path of the ball, let it get a little deep, and then you can take your monster swing. But they got to keep their eye on the ball. That's what we got to do. Eric Schuster, who would you cut on the Mets to bring in Bauer? I mean, but then you're upset. I mean, you got Manea on the cusp. You got Blackburn that came back lights out against the Dodgers, of all teams. And if we didn't blow that game, that would have been a great victory right there. So I'm not really overly concerned with our pitching staff. So maybe if we take Bauer on the team, maybe Tyler McGill becomes your long guy, along with maybe we take Blackburn and make him our emergency number 6 starter or his 5th man, and we give some of these other guys a little break. Maybe we alternate. I don't know. That's a problem for the pitching coach. So we'll see what happens. Jeremy Hefner, for those keeping track at home, and I know you are. It was a 4 p.m. game. I was able to catch it on the radio. Then I got to the lounge, catch the last part of the game. And Brett, if you're listening or you will listen, the Rolades were in action tonight. If you know what I mean. So, the McKessie brothers, and I have dialogue with Sean and Darren, and they remind me that we got the before today, I believe we had the best record in the National League. We have the best record against all 500 and above teams in the National League. We're in first place. The Filthies lost again today. They got slaughtered. Jesus Luzardo got blown up. Now is facing a 4.38 ERA, I believe, along those lines. So we really can't be jumping off the bandwagon at the moment as much as I want to. As much as when spring rolls around on opening day, I have great aspirations of the Mets going 162-0. Nobody's ever done that in the history of baseball. Nobody's ever come close. And it's just, happy fodder for me to talk about. But the Mets are still on pace for about 102 wins if they maintain the status quo. Now, we just have to focus series upon series upon series. Now, we were 500 against the Dodgers, which, ask the Yankees how they did against the Dodgers. That's all you need to know. So Alonso took a couple of weeks off in May, started chasing some of those sliders on the outside corner. It seems that he hit the cage and he's reconditioned, refocused himself, and he's looking for those outside pitches and just drill them a la Mike Piazza, Oppo Taco, as they say in Major League Baseball. So whenever I get excited, I get the coughs and the saliva starts kicking in. So I gotta take it down a notch, perhaps. We finally got nice weather out here in New York. We hit 83 and so today, so it was very beautiful, beautiful weather. I can't complain or argue about that. So we're going to be facing starting tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We got games against the Rockies in Colorado. I'm hoping that the thin air will help our bats with the long ball. Pete Alonso seems dialed in. Juan Soto seems to be getting a little bit more comfortable in his new uniform. Starting to hit the ball with authority. Just missed a home run by about 2 or 3 feet today, Oppo. So we're expecting big things in Colorado. So if the over-under is anything like 11, take the over, fellas. Take the over. I think we're about to break out. I think the Colorado Rockies are being hand-delivered to us at the exact right time. And I hope I don't live to be here next week and to show you that I have to eat some crow. We'll see what happens. So, programming updates. I was able to secure a co-host for a minimum of 2 weeks out of the month. I had him on earlier in the season. Pete O'Shea, my good friend, my CYO basketball friend from the days. He's agreed to sign on. I got nothing but positive feedback. Our viewership was tremendous when he was on that day. He brings a wealth. I mean, he's got a wealth of baseball knowledge, equaled, if not better than me on the New York Mets. His mind is very sharp. He can recall exact moments. I tend to have some 60-year-old age disease in that department. If you know what I mean. So that's going to be exciting. He's totally planned to be here on June 12th, a week from today. And we'll be playing with our format. We might have Stump the Hosts. I'm looking into getting some swag. So if you were to stump us, you might get a coffee cup or a hat. I got to look at the Angie's Angles financial situation, see what we could pull off, and then we'll send that swag out to you guys that are able to stump the hosts. Between the two of us, you got your work cut out for you, for sure. So I'm looking forward to it. We're even talking about extending it to an hour. Holy Hannah, I don't know if I could handle that, but you know, if I'm faltering, I'm going to hand it over to Pete, and I'll just chime in. Or if Pete's faltering, he'll hand it over to me, and I'll chime in, and we'll see what happens. But I'm very excited. He's got a whole studio set up. He's semi-retired, if not fully retired. They just moved to Florida from St. Louis, so he's in a happy place. His wife, Shani, has got a job. She's secure. She's good to go. They're good to go. They've had a rough go of things. They had tornadoes to deal with. They had some work violence happened at Shani's job that set her back a couple of steps. But they're all resolved. They're all recouped. They got a beautiful house down in Florida, and they're very happy. And I'm very excited to bring Pete O'Shea to Angie's Angles as my co-host moving forward. We're going to see how long that run lasts. I hope for a while. Mark Brooks, my brother from another. What is going on, Mark? I am interstate. Mark, you missed it. Terry's dialing it in from Rome, which made me intercontinental. Not to be confused with the Continental Hotel in the John Wick series. There is no safe space on Angie's Angles. If you know what I mean. So, Eric, I'm still waiting on who you would cut to bring Bauer on. And speaking of Bauer, let's touch base on that for a second. He's been 100% exonerated. Now, we all have vices in our lives. I smoke cigars. I play some cards. Those are my vices, right? I'm a fanatical Met fan. That's my vice. Sure, did he partake in some sexual escapades? Sure. But the proof is showing it was all consensual. She lied. She tried to be a gold digger. She's facing jail time. She's facing charges, and he was never charged civilly and or criminally with any crimes other than maybe bad judgment for even for not even vetting this woman. And I'm not beating the woman up. I'm not trying to do that at all. But in today's day and age, it's quite unusual for the female to be found to be the guilty party in any indiscretions, and that's exactly what transpired. So it's fair game to call her out because the charges are real, the jail time she's facing is real, the monetary fine she's facing is all real, and that is not disputable on any spectrum whatsoever. Eric, you need to give me some insight on who you want to cut to bring Bauer onto the team. I'm not opposed. There's a host of teams that could use a Trevor Bauer. Obviously, the Dodgers could use a Trevor Bauer, but that ain't never happening in any universe. Baltimore Orioles could use him. Detroit Tigers could use him. Toronto Blue Jays could use him. New York Mets could use him. New York Yankees could use him. I mean, those are five. Chicago Cubs could use him with their injury that they got to their pitching staff. I mean, there's a St. Louis Cardinals. Clark, I know you're not here tonight, but they could use them. My goodness, the Atlanta Braves could use them. All right, they already got Marcell Ozuna on the team, who's a bona fide domestic violent guilty guy. Okay, so they already have the experience of having a domestic violence guy on their team, and I'm not looping Bauer into that category as a domestic violence abuser, because he's not. It's been proven that he's not. That I just want to make this clear. And I'm not beating up any of the women. And Marcell Ozuna really got a pass and a half and 3/4. It's funny how, and Eric, I know you're a big Jose Reyes fan, but for that reason alone, that he smacked his wife around, even though she dropped the charges, yada, 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 doesn't absolve him of his temperament. Sorry. No man should ever raise a hand to any woman. I don't care who you are. I don't care the circumstance. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. Bear hug her with one arm, call the cops with the other one. If you have a recorder, record the situation, etc., so you can back up your proof. That's all I'm saying. That should never transpire anywhere. I want to be very, very clear on that. So I'm not sure if Eric's silent for a reason or not, or if he's not hearing me. I'm not sure. But we're going to go to the prayer circle. It's 8:54. It went pretty fast, to my chagrin. And don't forget to dial in next week. We're going to have Pete O'Shea live from Florida, bringing his baseball acumen to Angie's Angles. Harold, we're praying for your brother-in-law, Frank, triple bypass, Dawn squared, wife and co-worker, and you, young man, that this head code that you're harboring makes a quick and expeditious exit. Scott Tobias, we're praying for your wife and your mom. Linda, Grandma Stein, we're praying for your dad, self, and the new family. Mark Brooks, happy to see your vertical, my friend. We're praying for you, Tony, your family, the new house, and your dad. You got to give me an update on your dad, Mark Brooks. Kevin Elliott, also known as Kevilytics. We pray for your health challenges, my friend. Krauts family, pray for you guys out there in Coramville. Clark, we're praying for your brother-in-law, Brad, and your sister, Trish. As always, Deb and Lee down in Maryland. We're hoping that all symptoms will go for Lee. Marianne Bello, Yes, John. Trevor Bauer was acquitted of all the charges, 100%. Thanks, John. We covered that earlier. Mary and Bella, we're praying for you, young lady, and your mom out there in Las Vegas. Larry Levy, we're praying for your wife, Frida, as she remains in remission with cancer. Mr. McGowan, sir, I need an update, my friend. Big John, Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. We're praying for your cousin Richie, Phil's Nona, your brother Angelo's friend Dave. Tom, we're praying for Paul and Janet, Jim and Linda. Johnny Barbecue, as your daughter Caitlin recovers from her hand surgery, we want to include your son-in-law's father, who's currently in the hospital. John Vitale, we're praying for your father-in-law, John Kane, and your brother Frank. Joanne, one of the suppliers here at Smoke Therapy, we're praying for Angel, who had an eye stroke. Mike C., we're praying for your dad. Ralphie, not only are we praying for your Aunt Doris, but Ralph, we understand you're under the weather. We need an update, my friend. And we're going to miss you tomorrow night, Ralph. So we're praying for Ralph. We're praying for Vinny's mom, who seems to be on the right, and Kenny's aunt. That concludes our prayer circle for this week's Angie's Angles. It is 8:56. Please, I implore you, I beg you, tell a friend, dial in next week, 8:30 p.m. New York time. We're going to have my good friend Pete O'Shea making his official co-host debut for the Angie's Angles. He's committed to this. He spent a lifetime in radio. He's a stand-up comic. So hopefully he brings some levity to the show, and we'll see where it takes us. Again, we're going to try to create a Stump the Host portion where you win swag. You'll DM me all the pertinent information if you win, and we'll get you the product out. This has been Angie's Angles, come to you live from Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. If you're ever in the neighborhood, stop by. Good night. God bless. I love you.